Why hello there my non-gender specific friends, and welcome to my little showcase of the second version of the Kheil rig for Blender. That's 2.0, not 1.2 or whatever, because I didn't just fix some things, I actually overhauled most of it. You won't really see a lot of that because it's like the inner mechanics of the rig, but basically everything except for the ears is brand new. I wanted to update this because I was never really satisfied with the original rig. It had some issues, it was clunky, there were some controls missing here and there, and parts of it didn't deform quite the way I wanted them to. Um, but I also didn't really expect a whole lot of people to download this, and I was very, very wrong about that. Not only was it getting a steady stream of downloads, but it was also featured on some CGI resource website recently, and a massive influx of people showed up to get it. And I got real self-conscious about the problems with the old one and figured it was time to clean up. So, without further ado, let's talk about these updates and what they mean for you. So, when you first open the file, this is what you're going to see. And I just noticed that my screencast keys are not on, so let's flick those back on. There we go. And so when you open a new file like this, the first thing you want to do is press A to select everything, hold down Alt, R, G, and S, and that will reset the whole thing. So now we have a clean character to work from. I'm actually going to get rid of this camera as well, so the only thing we have in the outliner is the collection with the armature and the model. And that's the thing you can use to link into other files if that's how you operate. All of these instructions, by the way, are right here on the usage notes on the text file, but you know, people don't always read those, so whatever. The other thing you want to do is, if I turn off everything, you'll notice that she has some muscle definition. You can really see those deltoids and triceps, and it's really neat because she's Kheil and she's a little tank and she will punch a hole through the wall just to get some ice cream. That is done through normal maps, which I don't fully understand. Like, I'm still trying to figure those out, but they do cause some performance lagging on the viewport, at least for me. So if that happens for you, you can just go into the shader editor, select the model, and then in slot 1, which is kheil.mat, you can select that normal map, press M to mute it, and then on the second slot, which has the hair material, you can press M to mute that, and then remember to turn those on when you're ready to render. But for the time being, like, the performance just so much better now. The biggest change in terms of the functionality of this, it's going to be in the face, but let's talk about the arm IK. And also the leg IK real quick. If I move this down here, that's my IK controller. If I bring up the items tab, you'll notice that there's more properties than before. You have your standard IK FK switch, but there's also a stretch toggle. So you can decide whether you want things to stretch or not, which wasn't really an option that you had before. Let's turn this back on. And on top of that, there's also this control visibility switch. 0 shows you just the FK switch, and of course you can still see the IK control right there, but that's because that's where the property is. But if you set it to 1, then you just see the elbow, the pole controls. So now you're only seeing the IK controls. If you set it to 2, you can see everything. I have it set to 0 because the arms are mostly FK most of the time. The foot control has the same controls as above. I did add a new this control right here, which allows you to control to rotate the entire foot from like the tippy toes. The banking works right now. It didn't on the previous version. It was a little bit wonky. So if we turn on that, you'll see that, oh, those are yellow. I will fix those colors before I publish this. Those are the FK controls, by the way. Now, the biggest changes here is coming into the face. Now, the eyebrows work still largely the same way as they did before, but they should be a little bit better. I'm still trying to figure out how to properly get those nice expressions with the eyebrow. That's something that I might rework again in the future. But with the previous rig, one of the biggest issues that people had was the eyelid control, because you had to rotate them to close them, and that threw a lot of people off because they were moving it down and like the corrective shapes weren't triggering, and it was stressful for me as the maker of the rig. So I changed it so now you can just drag it down, and you not even just drag it down, but like you can actually move it around, and you can still rotate it to get those like cute little S curves. So hooray for eyeball overhaul. Before I talk about the lips, let's talk about the jaw real quick. This is the same control right here, and I actually recommend that you rotate it open and do things with the rotation, because that'll move basically everything in it. And that's partly because there's some mechanics in here that you don't need to think about, but you can also move this away from the face, and that'll trigger a fun little deformation here. But what is up with those teeth? Those teeth are not in the right place. Well, now there's teeth controls right over here on the side where you can like move them back into place, and you can and rotate them and make them like work fine. Where is her tongue? Oh, there it is. Well, I guess you got to fix the location of the tongue as well or something. I don't know. But yeah, so that's fun. This little doohickey here, which is housed right inside the jaw, is a it's a this thing. You can like make fun little shapes with our jaw now. So that's fun. I added these little controls here, and they add extra deformation to the lips. So now you can like push the lips in and out, and those are really shiny. I don't think they're supposed to be that shiny. I might have to fix the material for that at some point. The mouth controls work most of the same way as before, except now they're actually aligned to the surface, which means if you move them in like a single axis, they will more accurately, stick to the curvature of the face. It's not perfect, obviously, so you might need to drag them in the y-axis a little bit at some point, but you'll notice that they don't really follow each other anymore. Like in the previous one, if I move this up, this one would follow. That proved to be more of a hassle. That was a big problem when I was animating, so I got rid of it. I hated it. And let's see, I believe that's it for the face and the mouth and the teeth. Yep, and we covered the eye key controls. So there's a couple of new features. If you zoom out here to the eyes, there is a fun new feature where if you drag the eyes around, they will move as you would expect them to. But if you rotate the head, the target stays in place. So she can like focus on a place without, having to counter animate the eyes. But if you select the eyes, you can actually go into this head follow property, set that to 1, and then the eyes will follow the movement of the head. So you have the option now. You are not limited to one or the other. Similarly, the head, if I select the chest over here, you'll notice that it follows the chest. If you select the head, you can go to this head target lock, set it to 0, and then suddenly the head stays in place. Haha. It doesn't stay in place, it just doesn't rotate along with the rest of the body. So you have the option of tweaking that as well. So I believe that's it for the most pertinent things that you will encounter. Let me just take these and that and set those to, those are the left controls. Or yeah, those are the left controls. Okay, so these ones are red and they should be green. There we go. Now it's done. Sorry, there's always little things that you keep finding when you do something like this. So I think that's it for all of the major functionality that you will encounter with the rig. Any further updates that I've made are like in here where it's like, oh, I changed the way everything works inside. But one, I guess, final little hot tip that I want to leave you with is that these little like bead floaters, they're not just there to like cartoonify the rig. You can actually use them to correct let's say that you're doing like a sitting pose where something like this is happening. She's like sitting on the ground like that. You get this like weird candy wrapper thing. You can actually use those. And by the way, the screencasts keep turning on and off. There we go. I have a shortcut set that's Alt-Z that turns on X-ray. You can actually select the top of that and then rotate it on the Y-axis to do like a little bit of a corrective thing on that. And so that looks better. So you don't have to rely on them just to do cartoony stuff. You can actually like make things look a little bit better. So that is the Kheil rig. I'm gonna take that and just paste the original post that I had. And yeah, enjoy the new version. I hope it's fun, and go animate. Take care.